Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's real estate investing seminar by Trust Your Talent Academy. Super happy to be going over this specific and particular subject of how to replace your six-figure income job. Why is that so exciting for me and hopefully for you too, really? Simply because of the fact that this was actually my journey. And when I realized and learned that I could plan, meaning I could regain the financial control back into my own hands, this was really one of the most eye-opening exercises and one of the most important piece of information that I got, that once you learn how to apply it, it's really going to help you see how to invest very differently and, more importantly, strategically, and how you can really map out every step of the way in terms of how much money you want to make, when you want to make that money, and how exactly you're going to leverage the different multiple strategies that you're going to be exposed to tonight to implement your plan. So with that said, I am going to kick this seminar off with everybody. First thing first, though, as I said earlier, I like to show a little bit of disclaimer, not because I like showing these things, because these are just really legalese in my opinion. However, the good news about all of this is that my lawyer has been trained, really well trained, to keep me safe, because my personal perspective about investing a lot of the times gets me in trouble. Why? Because especially when it comes to leveraging real estate as a main asset class to demonstrate a lot of the financial education principles, I really want to share with people what everybody needs to hear and not just what they want to hear. And sometimes it could mean that many things that come out, if it's taken out of context, it's potentially perceived to be in the gray zone. And gray zone is great. At the same time, remember, context always matters. And so in this particular case, this is why I always share the disclaimer, because I'm encouraged by my team, who I specifically have built and chosen to continue to work with over the last few years, so that we can continue to grow while keeping each other safe in our practices. And so, by the way, speaking of lawyers, how many different types of lawyers do you actually think a professional real estate investor needs? If you want to unmute yourselves, or if you want to share it in the chat box, more than welcome to.
So
I'm going to give
many.
everybody a hint. There's usually three.
I mean,
All
there are
right.
so many
So
different types, or are we talking about like three like categories of
there are
lawyers?
so many different types of lawyers. We're talking about specifically three different categories. What
Okay.
three types of lawyers does a professional investor typically need to be on their power team?
I would say litigation, legal
Litigation,
legal structuring,
legal structuring, so corporate lawyer, contract law, yes.
And real estate.
tax lawyer, sometimes too.
Potentially tax attorneys, absolutely. However, the biggest one usually, especially when we're leveraging real estate, is a real estate lawyer. So I can see there are answers in the chat box: corporate real estate and litigation, absolutely. And of course, also for taxes. However, for most people, I do understand that until we all get to a certain level, the need for a tax attorney may not be very imminent and immediate in the beginning. So they are all great answers. And at the end of the day, what I really want to say is this. And just so you know, English is not my first language. So I want to make sure that you understand what it means in English, because it's very, very important. Every time I have to review a legal document, even a mortgage document, sometimes when it's for bigger multi-million-dollar deals, I always ask my brokers to translate it from legalese to English. So same idea. All this means is that we are not here tonight, me and my support team, as financial planners, although becoming an educated and professional investor helps us function like financial planners. It's just that we choose very specific asset classes as our main vehicles to create multiple income sources and our wealth planning strategies. And on that note, continuing on, I'm also not an accountant. I know, don't let the Asian face fool you. My parents really wanted me to become one. Actually, they wanted me to become an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor. That didn't really happen. I became something that I'm much happier about, which is hopefully it shows by the end of this seminar with everybody, and that is a real estate investor or an entrepreneur altogether. And not a tax advisor. However, I have learned a lot about income protection strategies over the years, which really is very essential for all investors and all business owners. And so all that really means is that if we're not all these things, then what is the ultimate purpose of becoming and training and learning to become educated and professional investors? Is the fact that we are learning to collapse our time frame to achieve our financial goals, and those financial goals hopefully ideally contributes to something greater than our own personal reasons and purposes, is to learn how to be more effective and efficient at creating good and putting it out into the world by leveraging and working with other licensed and trained professionals in the areas that we need. For example, that way we can leverage other people's knowledge, OPK, other people's time, other people's expertise, and also other people's money. And so on that note, though, a lot of the people have heard about the concept of OPM. A quick question for everybody in the room. And just so you know, in case you don't have your camera on, I always encourage you to do that unless it is a safety concern. Then don't worry about it for now until you are able to turn your camera on and really fully participate. However, at this point, share with me, who do we know pretty much before we even had the recollection to know what it is or what they do? We're all associated with one giant institution that is very, very good at leveraging other people's money. And currently, I would assume that everybody in this room knows who that is. Do we know what I'm talking about? Who in our life is the best at leveraging OPM? Well, I like the answer. Mitch says government, and we also have banks, banking institutions, absolutely. And so the idea has always been we are linking financial education, regardless of what asset class that you choose to use to make your money, to create your income streams. We always want to make sure that we learn how to leverage other people's money, like the banks, because the government actually tells the banks what they can and cannot do. And everything that we do and everything we teach you to do is always above board. Okay. And so we do see this as the most powerful position to be in. And the reason why we want you to teach how to think and operate like the bank is simply because of the fact that if you think about it, if you've traveled anywhere, you'll always notice that the banks tend to have the biggest or tallest buildings, no matter where you go. Even if you're going to a very small city, they usually have a very, very noticeable and dominant location and visibility in any main roads. And so the reason behind that is as you start on your journey to learn more about how money works, you will learn how leveraging is, and by leveraging, I really do mean taking on debt, is the best position to be in, as long as you can differentiate good debt versus bad debt, which we're going to go into. And that directly ties into knowing the difference, the fundamental differences between asset versus liability. And so on that note, I do want to share with everybody that this video is recorded because we do put it on YouTube, because a lot of you are watching this after the fact simply because you're not able to make it real time. And that's okay. And that's why I want to make sure that you get the full context as well. And so on that note, when we say we want to start learning and get things going, just like a GPS, anybody driving with a GPS these days? I think a lot of us do, yeah? Okay, I'm seeing nods, I'm seeing hands going up, that's awesome. The idea is you want to make sure that wherever it is you want to go, the moment you get into that vehicle, you punch your destination into the GPS. And then what does the GPS do? It maps out where you want to go, and it finds exactly where you are right now so that it can plan the most efficient route. And even if you do run into some roadblocks or something that makes sure that challenges you, that basically needs to create a detour for you, it will recalculate. However, I want you to treat tonight's session more like a GPS, and I will share with you how to get access to the most advanced GPS when it comes to mapping out a new financial blueprint for you at the end of the session tonight as well. And so before we get going, well, I just want to make sure that everybody is very clear about why they are here. We're all busy. Yes, life is packed for many, many, if not most of us, or all of us in this room for that matter. However, you have actually made the time to register for a seminar like this. Clearly, you want to learn something. And I want to make sure that I'm here to help you maximize your return on your time investment. So let me know, type in the chat box, unmute yourself. Let me know what it is that brought you here tonight. Or even just share a little bit about where you're from, if you're currently investing already, and if so, what are you investing in? And more importantly, is it providing the financial results you're looking for? Okay, Irangu, nice to have you back again. Nikki, welcome, welcome. Hey, Vince, good to see you. So, Nikki, where are you from tonight?
Edmonton.
You're from Edmonton. You're in my hood.
Are you in
Even
Edmonton?
better. I am based in Edmonton. Yes. I call Edmonton home. A lot of people don't call Edmonton home for me for a different reason, just because I travel a lot, but that's a joke. So, what brought you here tonight?
Well, I saw you on the Instagram, I think. I don't know. I was looking up some events and yeah, you interested me. I'm in real estate myself, so yeah, I'm curious
Amazing.
to learn what you have
Amazing. Are you
to
currently
share.
investing in real estate already?
I have a couple of properties. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're looking, I'm gonna guess that you're probably looking to scale because some people are looking to start, some people are feeling a little stuck, and some people literally just want a solid plan so that they can scale wisely, safely, and profitably. So maybe one of those fits you?
I would say all of the above is great for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And so great to have everybody. I know basically we've got anywhere from the West, Vancouver, all the way to Ontario at the moment. So on that note, I'm going to do my best to make it as relevant as possible. And tonight, I did name this session, How to Replace Your Six-Figure Income. And so I'm really curious to hear whatever your income level is, because I literally have gotten text over the last couple of weeks, ever since the event got posted. People are going, actually, I don't make six-figure yet. Should I come to this session? The idea is it doesn't matter how much money you're making right now, is I want to show you a path where you can leverage real estate as an asset class, and as a result, real estate investing to really create the proper income sources and the long-term wealth creation plan for yourself. And so, out of curiosity, for everybody in the room, feel free to unmute yourself or share in the chat box again. What will the ability of replacing your income do for your life right now? Can somebody share? Does it mean better quality of life? Because you do love what you do. You just don't want to feel like, your day-to-day bills are restricted to what your boss thinks you're worth. Or yes, Michelle.
I'll share. I've been with TYT for a while now, and I've learned a lot and had some good success. And the time freedom that it has given me, I can't even begin to say, what it's done. I can travel whenever I want because I can work whenever I want. It's starting to snow here again, and unfortunately, even though it's almost March. But I was thinking when we had a big snowstorm here a while ago, I didn't have to fight the traffic to get to work. And I was able to take my time during the day, and my dogs were able to go out and play in the yard. And I shoveled the snow when I wanted to because I had the time, and nobody could tell me when or what to do. So that's what the financial freedom means to me. I mean, it's paying the bills and it's doing the things I like to do, but it's also that time that it's given me to run my life how I want.
Love it. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else want more? Mitch says more time, and to me, time is wealth. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the funny thing is, Mitch, if you've heard me say this before in other seminars that I've done or courses that I've delivered, is that true wealth is actually measured by time and not dollars and cents. And so there's a lot of correlations there. Richard says, my spouse can quit his job and work out, body build. He is doing 2 jobs, normal jobs 9 to 5, and real estate accounting 5 to 11. Absolutely. There's always going to be a bit of an overlap or transition period for most of us, unless, again, I've had quite a few students over the last nearly decade now since I've been in the training coaching environment for real estate investing, or for investing for that matter, is a lot of our students, they are, and one of our trainers and mentors on the team right now, actually, she was a stay-at-home mom for over 10 years. And so when she first started thinking about income generating opportunities again, looking for a job was quite daunting. So while she was able to locate something, she realized that it wasn't going to be sustainable for her, nor did it really intrigue her to go back to something that structured, because she still wanted to continue to be a mom and have the freedom, and at the same time support the household bills. And so as a result, she also discovered how properly trained real estate investor can truly create financial independence and financial freedom for themselves in a short amount of time. And when I say short, we typically say that as long as you are learning and applying what you're learning, more importantly, you can create solid financial independence or freedom for yourself in 2 to 5 years. You just gotta follow the plan that has been created for you and implemented with you. And so I will definitely share a little bit more about how that can be accomplished throughout the entire webinar tonight. And so with that said, I do want to encourage all of you to really learn the first thing, which is what we call the investor mindset. And that means we learn to focus on maximizing our ROI. And so if this is your first time hearing the acronym ROI, it stands for return on investment. Return on investment. And so you'll notice that sometimes I do tend to repeat myself. Yes, it is my second language, and no, I'm not short-circuiting. It tends to mean that when I start to sound like a broken record, it's a very, very important nugget and mindset piece, or a lesson that you really need to write down, memorize, and let it become your day-to-day guiding light. And so what is the ROI mindset? It basically means, write this down, it's not how much it's going to cost me, but how much it'll make me. It's not how much it's going to cost me, but how much it's going to make me. And that is ultimately the investor mindset. We focus on the return rather than the initial investment. Okay, let me ask you this question. Let's say, Nikki, Arnie, welcome. I'm not sure if you're there, as I mentioned. If it's a safety concern, feel free to keep your camera off for now. However, to get the most value and the biggest bang of your buck while we're on the subject of maximizing your return on investment, I do encourage you to have your camera on at some point, okay? If you're eating, doesn't matter either. If you're cooking, that's fine too. I get it. It's the nature of evening webinar sessions. Now, it's not how much it's going to cost me, but it's how much it's going to make me. So, Nikki, I'm just going to ask you this. So right now, I've just come across this opportunity, a real estate investment opportunity. I don't know if it's a deal yet. It's a great deal for me. However, again, at Trust Your Talent, we always say that definitions matter. An opportunity is not always a good deal, because your criteria might be different from mine. Your level of risk tolerance might be different from mine. Your access to resources might be different from mine. So I always want to say that, hey, Nikki, I have an opportunity, and if this is deemed to be a viable deal for you, you can make $1 million in the next 18 to 24 months. Would you be open to taking a look at it? Yes or yes?
Yes or yes is yes.
Absolutely. However, what if I had come to you, Nikki, and said, hey, Nikki, you know what? I got a deal right now. It's such an amazing deal, and the location is amazing. The property is in such good condition. And, you need to come up with about $800,000. And the upside of it is that we likely will make about $1 million in the next 12 to 18 months here.
On top of my initial investment?
Oh, actually, no, sorry, it's not. We have to pay $800,000 for it, and likely we will be able to sell it for about $1 million in about 12 months. That's pretty good though, $200,000 in a year, isn't it?
It is, but I'm putting out, I would have to do a cost benefit analysis.
There we go. See, Nikki, you hear the difference now. Because all of a sudden you're focusing on everything that you gotta do, and then you realize that most people out there that are pitching investment deals actually don't know how to present their numbers very well. And this is why Trust Your Talent, we really focus on training professional and proper investors so that when you go out there and share your opportunities with other people, you understand how to actually find good deals, and I'm using the word deal now, find good deals, structure them, and present them in a manner that is relevant to your end investor's goals as well, so that there's alignment every step of the way. And so on that note right now, though, what I want to encourage you is to grab a pen and some paper or a notebook that you typically use already when you are joining various webinars, learning sessions. And so what I would like you to do, because just because you're at a webinar doesn't mean that life stops. I understand that. However, I really want you to be present, maximize your time here, and maximize the value that you will be getting away from this. So I'm going to give everybody 1 minute to do what we call a mind dump exercise. Maybe you're thinking about, oh my God, I got about 5 things that I got to do tomorrow. I got a possession tomorrow that I got to facilitate. I got to make sure I text and email my lawyer after this, or my realtors to make sure there's no last minute hiccups. I got to pack my kids' lunch. I still got to make dinner tonight after this session. All those kind of things, write them down. If they are cluttering your mind, that's distracting you, I'm going to give you 1 minute to do a quick mind dump exercise. And then once we come back here and regroup, we are going to start running with tonight's session. Ready? 1, 2, and grow. Okay, I hope that you've had a successful mind dump. Why do I always do this? Every session that I do, it doesn't matter what the setting is, even if I'm standing in front of hundreds of people on stage live, I still do this exercise because I understand right now, everybody is all pulled in different directions all the time. And multitasking, very much like lack of sleep, is really not an honor badge we should be wearing anymore, especially if you truly want to make a fundamental shift in your financial situation moving forward. And so we're very big on the focus concept, and it's an acronym. It means, what does it mean? Focus, follow one course until successful. Follow one course until successful. And the only course that you're following is to really come in with a blank slate, really allow yourself to get immersed in the materials tonight. And you know what? Check your ego at the door, because after that, you can pick it up on the way out too, if you have any. And so what I really want to move forward now here is to share a little bit with you in terms of why I'm speaking in front of you. And as I mentioned, don't let this face fool you. I know my parents did want me to become a doctor, an engineer, an accountant, a lawyer. I did not become any of those. Instead, I am dubbing myself to be a professional real estate investor, an award-winning mentor in the investing industry, a serial entrepreneur, and I do have a bachelor in business administration, specializing in marketing. However, what really makes me very passionate about running all these sessions and creating Trust Your Talent Academy is because I realized that self-education has made me way more money, created more time, freedom, and happiness and mental space than traditional education ever did. And so this is why I really want to put it out there to allow people to, if you're inspired, you feel free to follow the path. And if not, that's okay. Maybe this is not the same path. However, I do want to share a little bit of my background with you because I was working a corporate job And I was from my very first year into the corporate job, straight out of university, making $150,000 a year in the middle of early 2000s there. And so back then I thought I was on top of the world in my 20s, making 150 grand in my first year, when all my friends were graduating with a $34,000 a year job in 2006. I thought I was doing so well. And I did that for a few years, and the trade-off became clinical depression, as well as more and more autoimmune disorders getting diagnosed because I was constantly in a stress state. And to top it all off, I had to deal with minor heart attacks. And so this is why I find so much meaning in supporting others if their goal and they're inspired to build their financial independence and or financial freedom. Now, I want to make it very, very clear that at Trust Your Talent Academy, it is never about firing your boss as the main goal. If you want that to be the main goal, by all means, you're going to learn the tools to use to create that for yourself. However, I really honestly believe that if it weren't for all the backstabbing and the politics at work and the fact that I was told how many weeks of vacation I can take off, even though I worked my assets off all the time and over deliver every single year, I probably would have stayed at my job. However, literally my job made me feel like I was just over broke all the time. And so I started looking for other solutions so that I can not only increase and improve my lifestyle initially, that I really wasn't thinking about quitting my job. However, because I do believe that many of us, we literally spend time, money on tuitions, and maybe even sweat and tears getting our degrees, getting trained in our specialized field, and put in the years in our careers to really become the professional that we really want to be. However, it is never the job we do, is it? It's always all these peripheral things that really distract us, that bring us down a lot of the times. And so again, I want to show everybody that there is a very real and simple path that you can carve out for yourself while honoring your own time and your own values and how you want to spend the rest of your life. And if you choose to keep your job, great. And so for me personally, from the beginning of receiving financial education all the way to declaring financial freedom, it took me 25 months. So is it possible? Absolutely. I know sometimes it feels like an infomercial and I feel really cheesy most of the times when I say this. However, if an immigrant kid in this country can do it in 25 months, literally it is that line. If I can do it, anybody can. And I firmly believe in that. And so with that said, I do want to share with you that I do walk the walk, as in I am a very active real estate investor myself. And in addition to pioneering and starting different businesses in different industries, I currently have investment portfolios in Canada, coast to coast, across the US, and also across the United Kingdoms. And the strategies that I have learned and applied over the last 14 years at this point myself are lease options, wholesale assignment, income properties, whether it's smaller income properties all the way to the bigger multi-apartment buildings that most people are so gung-ho about these days, all the way to strip malls, commercial types of properties, conversions, mobile home parks, private lending, creative financing of different sorts, and different flips and service accommodations. Service accommodation in the Trust Your Talent Academy term basically stands for short-term rentals all the way to midterm rentals as well. However, we want everybody to, as I mentioned, to be financially educated because in my opinion, Airbnb, for example, it is not an investment strategy because Airbnb itself, by definition, is a marketing platform. And so when people don't understand the difference, it tends to get them in trouble. And by trouble, I mean financial trouble, because I'm pretty sure, and if you think otherwise, you can let me know, okay? However, I'm going to bet good money with this group of people right here tonight that you are here to learn how to make money, not lose money, yes? Okay, and so this is why definition truly matters, and really understanding the different strategies and details matters way more than understanding how to use one marketing platform. And as I keep saying, English is not my first language, so if I trip up a little bit from time to time, just bear with me. However, I did share a little bit about my why earlier, because a lot of people tend to like to challenge us, the trainers, the mentors in this industry. If you're so successful, you're making so much money, why are you hustling to build another business? The funny thing is, I don't think Taylor Swift ever get that question, or Oprah. If people do good work and they create good results, those people tend to ask them, when is your next album coming out? When is your next project, Oprah? However, for people that want to really teach other people financial education, we get challenged all the time. And that's okay, because in addition to all of it, yes, you're absolutely right. If you've ever read the book, The Cash Flow Quadrant, in terms of ESBI, employee, self-employed, business owners, and investors, I choose to be in all four quadrants. Why? Because I am financially educated. I understand the importance of creating income from all different quadrants. However, more importantly, when I choose to take on projects that I want to do, it brings me meaning. It's not about the money anymore. And when I am able to create win-win, it's what makes me the happiest. And I hope that that makes you happy, knowing that I can help you make money too. And so the first thing is knowledge. I mean, it didn't really happen by accident. There's always a bit of a backstory here. And the short version of it is that right after global financial crisis, and Arnie, looking at you, I'm not even sure if you're old enough to remember global financial crisis. However, in the year 2008, when I was working 80 hours a week to make my six-figure income. So yes, on paper, it looked really nice. I was making a lot of money, compared to especially all my friends around my age. It came at a price. But with global financial crisis, virtually every single thing that I was taught to do was not giving me the return. I maxed out on my RRSPs. For my American friends, that's your 401k. I maxed out on my tax-free savings account. I put money into my savings account whenever I could in above the other two things that I was doing. And I was paying down my mortgage every time I got a monthly or quarterly bonus. Looking back now, every single one of those things was not the most strategic way to create long-term and sustainable wealth. And so what happened was I actually ended up pulling all that money out, because every time I got a statement, my investment, so to speak, was growing backwards, especially my company stock options. Everybody thought that was so amazing. They will match 50%, or some companies even match 100%. You put in $1, they will match $1. So really, it's like you put in $2. And yes, it is great if it's actually doing well and you have control over the growth of it. What happened was, I'm going to share with you, I worked for a company called the Yellow Pages Group. Does anybody know and remember what Yellow Pages looks like? Some of us do, some of us don't. And that's the reality of it, because it is not a company that many people know about anymore. And so what that really means is that I went from buying company shares and them matching 50 cents on the dollar at $14 a share, to it becoming penny shares when I was still working there, pulling 80-hour weeks. How would that make you feel when that's the reality? Do you think you're ever able to retire, let alone retiring properly and comfortably? Probably not. And so that's exactly what happened to me. And so I very quickly started to seek alternative investing vehicles, and real estate was always there for me. So like the blind leading the blind, I had a coworker that put their money in a commercial syndication. And I thought, oh my God, that's going to make me sound so cool at the age of 28. I have just pulled out all my money from the banks, from my TFSA, from my RSPs, and from my company stock options. And I am now a real commercial real estate investor. And so that was a syndication deal, because I did not have millions and millions of dollars to do the whole thing with them. And so I basically wrote a check that equated to my entire life's work, or what's left of it leading up to that point. And then within about a couple of months, I was supposed to get what they call a deed certificate. Again, we're leveraging real estate. It's no different than when you own the entire property outright, you do have a title certificate. So in this particular case, I was supposed to get a deed, and instead what I got was a summon letter from a law office saying, by the way, the developer that you invested your money in defaulted and took everybody's money and ran. And now a group of investors want to come together now and start a civil lawsuit. And it was because of that experience and what I witnessed right after that really changed me for the better. However, what happened was I decided to go to the law office to decide whether or not I was going to participate in this class act lawsuit. And when I got into that boardroom, what I saw really, really shocked me, and it sticks with me. You know, we always talk about core memories these days. That has formed a very strong core memory for me as an investor, because when I walked into that room that night, I was probably one of the youngest, if not the youngest person in that room, because everybody else that I saw were in their 60s, 70s, maybe even in their 80s already. And they were basically acting like 5-year-olds, throwing temper tantrums, banging on the table, crying, howling, screaming at the lawyers, saying things like, how dare they do that? How could they do that? How am I going to make rent? How am I going to put food on the table? That was my entire life's work. How am I even going to survive after this? And so witnessing that can change a person fundamentally. And it did for me. Because of that, I realized, oh my goodness, I am not going to even participate in this lawsuit because they deserve to get their money back way before I do. Because what I have still more of is time. I can still work, I can still make my money back. However, from that point on, I also realized that, oh my goodness, I am the one ultimately responsible for my own financial future. And I don't know what I don't know. And as a result, before I even learned how to grow my money, I really was desperately seeking ways to protect my money first. And I just wanted to make sure that I didn't work another 20, 30, 40 years to end up in the same situation, because it could happen when you don't know what you're doing. And so once I was able to accomplish that, I wanted to focus on my health. As I mentioned earlier, every single day I do live with 6 autoimmune disorders, and I've had 3 minor heart attacks in my life. And as a result, I also battle a very major clinical depression back in 2011. And so all those things really taught me the power of having health first. And it's very much like what Mitch said, health is wealth. And I think that is a phrase that we all know. However, not all of us really focus on it and give it the attention that we need. And this is why I trust your talent. And I'm going to share with you on our core values and what we really do ultimately focus on, in addition to helping you protect and grow your money. And so last but not least, I do want to create an impact because of my personal journey. Now that money is not an issue, I have freed myself up. I do need a new purpose, and that's where Trust Your Talent Academy comes in. And so to put it very plainly, through Trust Your Talent Academy, I am aiming to create 1,000 millionaires by the year 2040. And because of my own experience, I am always looking to empower young entrepreneurs in any way possible. And so enough about me. I'm going to share a little bit with you. And now hopefully you understand why this quote really is super, super fundamental and monumental to why TYT, or Trust Your Talent Academy, even exists. And it's inspired us to focus on the vision and the mission of why we are here. And from a financial wellness perspective, it is to create financial independence one person at a time. Okay. And the core values that we all share as a community are health, sustainability, joy, fulfillment, and impact. And so again, financial wellness, very much like physical wellness. It's one of those things that we tend to get stuck in being just okay, even though we always know that we want to do a little bit better. but just okay seems to be the state that we're in. And I'm going to venture a guess that most of you, if not all of you that are in here tonight, are here because you do feel that there is something pulling you forward, that you're no longer happy with just okay anymore. Is that true? Yes? Awesome. And so as a result, I really wanted you to ask yourself this question. You don't have to answer me. You don't have to unmute yourself or put it in the chat box right now. Are you financially healthy? Are you financially sustainable right now? Because I understand some of us can do a couple of deals when the market is good and make some money quickly. Or like me, you can work 80 hours a week. However, how sustainable is that? What we really ultimately want to help people create is not just the immediate results that they need to see that there's proof of concept on the strategies that they're learning. However, it is the long-term sustainable wealth that we're looking to help you create through financial education. And so as a result, are you currently financially joyful or financially fulfilled? And more importantly, do you have the ability to be financially impactful? I know many of us, we have reasons beyond us. And so we want to help you really understand. And so to really bring it all home, who is Trust Your Talent Academy? We are a group of active investors, business owners, trainers, mentors, and coaches in this industry. And we have been doing it myself coming up literally 1 decade. I have been investing in real estate for 20 years now as of June this year. And so our curriculum is the largest and most complete in all of North America, if not in the world at this point. And so what that means is we do have the most bespoke curriculum in the marketplace today. And it means it's not a one size fits all. For example, Rangu, Mitch, Arnie, your goals are different from each other's. And as I mentioned earlier, because of your age, your access to capital, your life experience, your work experience are going to be all very different in how you approach. And as a result, making investing and business decisions are going to be sometimes vastly different. And so with that said, the next thing is we do all walk the walk. This is not one of those things where we did really well and we built a small portfolio years and years ago and now we are teaching you how to do it. No, we're all active investors so that whatever it is that we are training you on, it is always relevant and up to date. And then the next thing is how we deliver the training is not one size fits all either. It's very much a full immersion delivery. Once you're on the other side of the fence, becoming a part of Trust Your Talent community, you will notice that we have events every single week and multiple nights on the same week, simply because the fact that this is me coming from a English is not my first language perspective, is the fact that a full immersion. And for those of you, if you're parents that have sent their children to, let's say, a French immersion or a different language immersion, you understand why being in full immersion is so important. And last but not least is to make sure that you get the tailored support that you want. At TYT, we cannot stress enough that not everybody is created the same. Not everybody's journey is equal. And so the one-on-one support is really what sets us apart and what's going to help you create the results that you're looking for, honoring your values, your goals, your decision-making process, and also your risk tolerance level. And last but not least, we are the only education-only academy in the financial education industry, especially leveraging real estate investing as a vehicle. Why? Because no trainers, no coaches, no mentors will come to you and pitch you a deal. In our opinion, there is a severe conflict of interest in that front. And I've seen that a lot of the times. And again, I'm not going to say there's anything wrong about that approach. We just simply choose to make sure that you are here to learn how to build a sustainable business and investment portfolio for yourself. Because the philosophy here is you give a man a fish or a woman a fish, they eat for a day, and you teach them how to fish, they will eat for the rest of their life. And that is really what financial education is truly about. Okay. And so we're going to just let you know the rest of the session, what we're going to cover. So up to this point, we're about halfway through already, and that some of that is to really build a foundation so that you have a solid jumping point with what's to come. And so what we're going to go into is an educated investor's process to real estate investing, as well as the 3 different steps that you can take to start formulating your financial success plan. And also, I will share some of the next steps that I believe will be very beneficial for you to take. And we always say action takers get rewarded. So stick with me, stay till the end, and you will get a reward. And if time permits and you want to stick around, I am more than happy to do an open Q&A with everyone as well. So on that note, educated investors process is, write this down if you haven't already, is everything is goal-based, and that goal is a financial goal. I know we like to talk about what's your purpose, what's your why. That definitely comes before the goal, because your why will help you create a financial goal. For example, a lot of people will say, you know what, I want to fire my boss. Well, okay, well, what does that mean? Let's just say that if you are kind of like me, making 6 figures, when I walked away from my job, I needed to basically make $150,000. However, at $150,000, I know we have one American audience tonight. Arnie, where you're from, if you don't mind? Are you Canadian? Are you in Canada?
Yeah, actually Edmonton.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So if you're making 6 figures in this country, chances are your tax bracket is anywhere between 45 to 55% after all is said and done, which means if you're making $150,000, you're probably taking home anywhere between $75,000 to about $85,000, okay? And so really, that is the true income you want to replace, and everything above is gravy. And that is something that we do cover in asset and income protection through business fundamentals. And so with that said, I want you to write down that goal right now for yourself. What is the income figure you want to either replace or supplement? Okay, and I will break down the difference for you in a little bit. I keep saying this, definitions matter. Definitions create clarity. Clarity creates decisive actions, and decisive actions create results. Okay, so write down what your financial goal is. It could be some I've had students that just say, hey, you know what? I just need to make $30,000 right now. And I can pay rent, I can put food on the table, and then it'll give me time to really learn to do bigger deals. And that's really where my heart is. Whereas I have people that say, you know what? I'm about to go on antidepressant. I really freaking hate my job, and I need to quit my boss ASAP in the next 6 months. How do I do that? So again, your goal will also dictate how you approach this entire journey. And once you have your goal now, what we say, how we approach this is this. 3 different steps, what we call SMP. S stands for strategy, M stands for market. P in this case stands for property. At Trusted Talent Academy, we not only teach people how to leverage real estate, a hard asset, as our main vehicle and asset class to demonstrate the principles of financial education, and as a result, creating financial result, we also leverage what we call paper assets now to help people create additional sources of income on a monthly basis. And so the SMP process still applies. It's just that P stands for different products that you can leverage paper asset for. So SMP is how we approach this. Why? Because your goal should dictate the strategies that will be the most relevant and timely to contribute to your financial results. And then once you have your strategies, not all markets are created equally. I'll give you an example. If you're Canadian like me, I typically don't like to choose to hold titles in provinces like Ontario and in provinces like British Columbia. Why? Simply because of the fact that A, they are overpriced, and as a result, they don't fit one of our rules, which is making money in the buy usually. Second of all, which is probably even more important, is the fact that the tenancy laws are not landlord/investor friendly in that case. And that means when we are doing our deal analysis and we're calculating our opportunity cost, it is not worth the effort compared to provinces like New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, like Alberta, like any other provinces within this country. Okay. And so again, let your strategies dictate the markets that you want to invest in, that you want to acquire the properties in. And that's exactly why P happens last. Once you've actually chosen your markets, you're going to learn through real estate investing fundamentals. That's usually everybody's first course, to do the proper due diligence on which properties and the property criteria you want to look for, so that you have a system and a process that you can follow. And at the end of the day, this is all about creating the process and the systems. Okay. And if you have trouble understanding how to do that as a small scale real estate investor for now, let me ask you this. Who here thinks that they know somebody, or maybe it's you, makes a kick-ass burger in the summertime? Somebody? Do you know anybody? Or maybe it's you. Are you a good griller? Yeah, so I have Michelle putting her hand up. Then let me ask you this, Michelle. Are you the griller, or somebody you know is the griller? And they make really killer burgers.
My husband is the griller.
There we go. Your husband is the griller. At the same time, let me guess. I'm gonna guess McDonald's makes a lot more money selling burgers than your husband at the moment. Yes, absolutely. I think we can all agree that on that. Why? Simply because McDonald's has spent decades building and perfecting their systems and processes. So if you're having trouble seeing that bigger picture as a smaller investor right now, that's okay. However, I want you to understand and write it down. And if you're writing anything down, I want you to write down, I want to build my processes and systems as an investor. And that's really ultimately what financial education will teach you. Because the financially uneducated, some people call themselves real estate investors. And this is not to be flippant with you if you've already been investing. This is simply to say that most people are uneducated property collectors. Because if your properties are not creating the financial results you're looking for, there's a reason behind it. And the main reason behind that is most people do the exact opposite. Instead of goal SMP, what they do is they PMS it. They get emotionally hung up on looking at listings, subscribing to list with realtors. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, they get emotionally sucked in. You know, they'll go to open houses on weekends when they're not at their job, and then they get talked into, look at how pretty the moldings are. Look at the beautiful neighborhood. It's so up and coming. Just buy it, rent it out. You can never go wrong with real estate. It's always going to appreciate. And the only strategy that an uneducated investor is stuck with is what we call buy, rent, and pray. Why? Because all they know is, I'm going to buy this property, I'm going to rent it out to people, and I pray to all kinds of gods that I only get good tenants that will always take care of my properties and always pay rent on time, and the properties don't give me a lot of headaches from wear and tear. I mean, again, I don't want to be flipping with everybody in this room. However, I think we all look like we have enough life experiences now to know that not always does everything go as planned. And especially if you already own properties, you understand exactly what I'm saying here. And so I really, if there's nothing else you take away from tonight, please take away goal SMP for yourself. Okay. And so the reason why we focus on goal SMP is because if you are not feeling you're financially getting ahead right now, or you're not financially happy or sustainable, it's because of this one big reason. Because you haven't been clear about what your goal is. And hopefully in the last 15 minutes, you've gotten a lot more clarity about what your goal is. And if not, one of our strategy coaches will be more than happy to help you with that. And I'll share with you how you can get in touch with a strategy coach with no obligation, okay? And so with that said, It's the what we call wheel of wealth. We want to teach you through financial education how you can fill your wheel of wealth. And your wheel of wealth is composed of 3 different what we call income buckets. And I want you to make very clear notes on this. Earned income, I also want you to write down active income. Earn, also write down active or earn/active. Passive income, also write down residual. Portfolio income is portfolio/equity. And I'm going to get one thing done and out of the way first, and that is portfolio and equity income. I want you to see portfolio and equity income kind of like the piggy bank that you're building for yourself. Now, a properly trained and financially educated investor understands that it's okay to break the piggy bank once in a while because it is literally like playing real life Monopoly. 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. You've got to liquidate and pull out the equity at some point for you to build in more processes and effectiveness and efficiency in how you make money. But the most important thing is, if you're making notes, is anything that will generate passive income should be generating equity income for you automatically when you do it right. Okay. And those are the things that you will learn in more detail when you go to real estate investing fundamentals and distressed properties later on. And then earned income, I want you to write down earn/active. Why? Because it is what we call trading hours for dollars. Trading hours for dollars. And it is okay to trade hours for dollars. It's just that I hope that instead of making 20, 30, 40, even 50 bucks an hour, you learn how to up your own hourly rate through real estate investing strategies now. So who here would prefer to make, let's say, $500 an hour instead of $25 an hour by a show of hands? I think all the hands should go up. Yeah. Okay, good. And so that's the idea, is to elevate your knowledge, invest in yourself so that you can elevate your own personal value in how you make money. And so with that said, I'm going to pull it back one more time quickly because it's all about your goal. And I want you to just think about it for yourself. Any words that you can relate to that speaks to you, write it down on your own notepad. So are you looking, okay, are you looking to create financial freedom for yourself? And if you are, I want you to make an extra note now. That means 100% of your income is coming from passive, okay? 100% of your income is coming from passive. However, what does that 100% of income coming from passive mean? The first thing that you will need to do, and we will share a tool with you in a little bit as well, is you need to know what your basic expenses are on a monthly basis. So financial freedom, by definition, as I keep saying, definitions matter. Financial freedom is achieved when you have enough passive income coming in from your investment portfolio, whatever the asset class may be, to cover all of your basic expenses. Why? Why only basic? And what are basic expenses? That could be your rent payment if you're still renting, or that's your house payment, meaning it could be your petty payment, meaning your principal interest, that's your mortgage payment, plus your taxes, plus your insurance, plus your utilities. Okay, those are the basic ones. And then for most of us, I think we all have utilities that will go beyond just heat and hot water these days, right? And electricity, which would be cell phone bills, which would be internet connections, which might be a car payment because you need to get from point A to point B, or bus passes. However you're doing, living your life right now, it doesn't matter. Everybody is different, as I mentioned. The point is, if you need some guidance on really solidifying what your basic expenses are, I'll share with you how you can get help from a strategy coach to help you do that in a little bit. And then what we have is you now have the financial freedom to not show up for a job. Because once you have enough passive income to cover all that, in theory, you do not have to wake up in the morning now to go to your job that you don't like in order to pay your bills. all your basic bills are covered. However, most of us are here to replace our job income. And that is tonight's title. And that's what we call financial freedom number 2. Okay. Financial freedom number 1 is when your passive income is equal to or greater than your basic expenses. And then financial freedom number 2 is a job replacement income. Why? Most of us show up to our JOBs, and then at the end of every month, we get our paychecks, and we tend to get paid a little bit more above our basic expenses so that we can have a bit of a lifestyle. We can afford to buy presents, we can go out to eat, we can maybe take a vacation, we can maybe go to the movies, go shopping once in a while, okay? Have some emergency funds set aside. However, it still feels very much like the rat race. But then again, once you're able to create enough income that'll replace your job income, then you have financial freedom number 2, okay? And that's all coming from passive. And financial freedom number 3, write this down, is what we call the do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, for as long as you want, and with whomever you want. So 5 different things. Do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, for as long as you want, with whomever you want. See, here's the funny thing. I'm going to level with everybody because like I said, I've been training, coaching, and mentoring financial education across the globe for almost 10 years now. In about 6 weeks, I'll have my 10-year anniversary here. The one thing that I keep reading and hearing from people is, I want to spend more time with my family. And these days, I usually say, I'm pretty sure COVID lockdowns have proven otherwise. So the idea really is not spending time with family a lot of times. Is what we really want is to create quality experiences together. As a result, spending quality time together. And so when you look at doing whatever you want, however you want, with whomever you want for however long you want, those kind of criteria really speaks to this, okay? And so last but not least, as I mentioned earlier, I want to differentiate the difference between financial freedom and financial independence. If you currently have a JOB that you do like and maybe even love, that is in the earned income, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I want to help you create other sources of income, because at Trust Your Talent Academy, we believe that the ultimate financial success and financial security that we can all build for ourselves is multiple sources of income. Wouldn't it be great? Can you imagine every single day of the calendar on your calendar is a payday for you? Who here likes the idea of that? And that's exactly what can happen. If you think about it, it's only 31 doors, 31 deals. It's not a whole lot. And I'll show you in a little bit how to get there. If you have a system and a process, even if you don't have your own money, you can definitely do it. I know I did. And so again, financial independence, the main difference is that I want you to circle earn plus passive. Financial independence is achieved even if you walk away from your JOB. Financial independence is achieved when you have learned and applied enough strategies and making money from these strategies in both the earned and passive income bucket. And I will differentiate what those strategies are for you in a little bit. And so maybe have your cell phones ready, because it's the only time I will ask you to pick up your cell phone and take a picture of things. And so with that said, moving forward, is it financial freedom that you want, or is it financial independence in this case? And some people will say, you know what? I don't mind my job right now. I don't hate anybody at work. However, it would be really nice to just have a little bit more money coming in, so that maybe we can have a better lifestyle, so that I can do better vacations with my family. Instead of spending 20, 30, 40 hours researching and finding the cheapest plane tickets or hotels, we can stay where we want, fly and travel how we want in the time that we want, instead of having to battle with horrible flight schedules, for example. Sometimes it could be that simple, because what matters to you may not matter to somebody else. So pick one or pick a couple that really speaks to you. And for a lot of you, maybe it is a solid, secure retirement. I like the word happy because I think happy and comfortable retirement kind of covers that. And so again, the average Canadian requires 1.4 million in the bank now, or in equity, to retire comfortably. Where do you sit on that spectrum? And so with that said, many of you simply said, you know what, I've actually done pretty well. I kind of discovered financial education a little late. However, I've done okay. You know, I got pensions, I've got other things that I've done well in. Because again, if you're in a different age bracket, I know in the early 80s, if you actually worked hard and saved money, it probably worked, because when you saved money, saving accounts would actually offer you 18+% for your money. These days, even as financially educated as we are, and this is also what's happening in our entire industry as well, is that whenever a student comes to me and say somebody is offering me a private lending deal and they're going to pay me 18% in interest, that I will usually caution them to do their due diligence properly. And that's just the nature of things. 30, 40 years ago, you can just park your money in the bank and you're making 18%. 18% these days on a private deal is considered high risk. However, how do you assess whether or not it's a risk worth taking is what financial education will do. And so on that note, here are the three steps to help you start formulating your plan. Okay, so first thing first is you gotta know your target. How are you gonna hit a target you cannot see? And so I really like this little graph here because it happens so much. Especially, you know what? We literally just had New Year's last month. So many people had New Year's resolutions, and people are very vague about their resolutions. I want to be healthier this year. I want to drink less. I want to quit smoking. I want to go on social media less. Well, more or less of what? How clear are you about the target you need to hit? And as I mentioned earlier, and I know I have Vince here from the team, if you can help us and share the link of the income and expense worksheet for everyone, that'll be amazing. Because if you can actually do yourself a favor, even if you don't want to fill out the income portion before you show up to your strategy session with a strategy coach, make sure you combine all your expenses. Like I said earlier, we already went through the part about how to differentiate financial independence versus financial freedom. And as soon as you understand how much money you're spending and how much money you need to make to declare financial freedom or financial independence, it will make the conversation a lot more productive and fruitful for everyone. And so in addition to that, we also need to make sure you understand the difference between asset versus liability, okay? And so let me ask everybody this. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want, or you can actually type in the chat box, okay? I want to just kind of gauge quickly in terms of where you at, financially speaking, or financial education wise, okay? Is a car an asset or a liability? Is a vehicle an asset or a liability? A liability, love it. Okay, and I'm gonna share this with you. One of my mentors taught me really early on. And then if you've actually read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, you've probably heard about this as well. And my mentor just re-emphasized the message. If it flies in the air, drives on the road, swims in the ocean, it's a liability, not an asset. Okay. If it flies in the air, drives on the road, and swims in the ocean, it's a liability, not an asset. Are there anomalies within that statement? Of course, there will always be anomalies. Just like we always say, there are good students in bad schools too, and there are bad students in good schools too. However, in general, those things are liabilities. What about your principal residence, meaning the house and the property that you currently live in? Asset or liability? Ooh, I'm seeing liability. I am seeing asset. Okay. In most people's cases, a principal residence is a giant liability because of the wear and tear, because of how slow our money is working for us, and because of the maintenance that and the upkeep that we need to put into it. It is actually more of a liability for most of us, unless you've already found a way to leverage the equity in your house and make it generate income on top of that. And so this really shows me in terms of where everybody is at. So this is awesome. And what about the next thing? What about a rental property? Is it an asset or a liability? Is it an asset or a liability, a rental property? It depends. Love it, Mitch. It depends. It depends on if it makes money. Absolutely. If it's putting money in your pocket every month, it is considered an asset. If it's taking money out of your pocket, it is definitely a liability. And so again, at this point, what about your financial education or your level of financial education? Is it an asset or a liability? It also depends. If you know how to leverage in a certain asset class and have financial education, definitely you can make yourself the greatest income generating asset you will ever be. Now, I will share this in a little bit as well, all together at the end. I did do a bracket, if you can see on the screen, my daily dose with Tim, season 2, episode 2. I will help guide you on how to find all the daily dose episodes, because during COVID especially, I've had the opportunity to actually put out quite a bit of video content on YouTube to train people on how to leverage real estate investing to create financial results for themselves. And so a lot of the episodes are up there, and this would be a really great resource for a lot of us. And now we understand the difference between financial independence versus financial freedom. So when you hop on that strategy session with a strategy coach later on, I want you to be very firm and clear about what it is you want to create for yourself. Because for some people, making $50,000 a month is a difference between the ultimate financial independence or financial freedom. And yes, you did hear me right, 50,000 a month. Okay. And so I want you to be very clear about that, and also learn as you go how to maximize income protection. And most of our students are exposed to that from day one. And so know your target, step number 1. The next step is learn the different strategies. So have your cell phone ready, but not yet. Just have it ready. I want to walk through a few things with everybody. However, before that, I really like this quote, not because he's Taiwanese like me, but it really speaks to the fact that, again, like I said, for me, when I lost all my savings, it was the blind leading the blind. And it really showed me that without strategy, execution is aimless, because I executed. However, I didn't have any strategy. I didn't know any strategy. And at the same time, without execution, strategy is useless, because you can learn and become a seminar junkie, go from webinar to webinar, workshop to workshop, big events to big events without ever taking action. And you're never going to see the results you want to see. And so at this point, I want to share with everybody how we actually guide you through the different courses and strategies that you are able to select and embark on for yourself. So fundamental courses, in addition to all the core courses, are these. So business fundamentals, we touch on how to create a business plan. So we are actually kickstarting that tonight with everybody, okay? How to create a business plan, how to create business budget, how to network, how to do your marketing, okay, as an independent real estate investor in the beginning. Those are all the very fundamental and crucial components that everybody will be learning. And also bookkeeping, accounting, tax strategies, and as I mentioned earlier, income and asset protection are all part of business fundamentals. And sometimes we do put a spotlight on them just because everybody at different stages will require different perspectives and advice. And then we also have what we call real estate investing fundamentals and distressed properties. And so at this point, I want you to listen up. The reason why everybody needs to go through REI, or real estate investing fundamentals, is because when you are financially educated, we say that you learn how to make money, whether or not the market's going up, going down, or going sideways. Okay, I'm going to say that again, and I want you to pay very close attention. When you are financially educated, leveraging real estate investing, you can make money whether the market's going up, down, or sideways. And the reason why we're so confident with that, and in fact, actually, you may have heard of this, more millionaires are created during economic recessions rather than a boom. And so we actually make more money during a downturn. Does everybody remember the beginning of COVID and how doom and gloom everything was with the stock markets, with the real estate market? And then what happened? When everybody was freaking out, and this is the thing that I like to say that sometimes get me in trouble. My lawyer will say, maybe you want to stop saying that, but I'm going to provide some context. And people joke that context should be the word that's going to go on my tombstone one day, because I think context matters. And so the year 2020, I've been investing, as I said, 20 years coming up. However, I didn't receive financial education until 2010. And so I usually will share the fact that, yes, I've been buying properties since 2004, but I really didn't learn how to invest until 2010. However, 2020 was the best year for my business and for me as a real estate investor, because I also follow one of the greatest investor of all time in our generation, Mr. Warren Buffett. He says the contrarian thinking. When others are fearful, be greedy. And when others are greedy, be fearful. And so at the beginning of 2020, everybody was fearful, and I decided to be a little greedy. And I wasn't greedy as in I wasn't, trampling over people just to get deals done. It was very much the fact that I was looking and structuring deals that most people don't even know how to see. So when you have a chance to come to one of our workshops, I tend to share a deal, one of my very first deals in my earlier days, and my very first deal actually in the US. And that was a 144 unit mobile home park that I leveraged, because it was every bit of that was a structured deal, as in I leveraged creative financing strategies, and I was able to make $2.6 million in 14 months. And I was only 32 years old. And that was the result of the different strategies, and that was the result of the education that I got. So it has a lot to do with really knowing what you're doing. And then financing fundamentals. And next, we always say there are hard strategies and soft strategies. In the marketplace, there is this herd mentality where people like to hear about hard strategies because it is really exciting. I'm not going to deny that. At the same time, though, hard strategies without soft strategies, without business fundamentals, and without investing fundamentals, and that's when people get in trouble. Okay, so while I do love my hard strategies because these are fun, these are the courses that you will go into, and when you come out of those courses, you're basically going to get the A to Z of how to execute every strategy so that you can learn how to make money right off the bat. However, soft strategies, in my opinion, are just as important, if not more important, because, for example, creative financing and raising funds for your business. Who here would like to truly learn how to leverage other people's money and do no money down deals and be making millions? By a show of hands. I'm not talking about making $5,000, $10,000. That's not what financial education is about. Okay, every hand went up, and that's what this is about. Okay. And so portfolio management, once you start growing your portfolio, that tends to be a course that everybody will be taking. Design and staging. I know some people are like, oh my God, I thought you guys teach financial education. How is design and staging directly relevant to the entire curriculum? It is very, very relevant if you are going into infills and development and serviced accommodations. Very directly relevant because it will show up on your profitability, and most people know it as your bottom line. And last but not least, learning the advanced strategies of asset and income protections and other strategies as well as assets classes. And so with that said, this is now your time to quickly grab your phone and take a picture of this entire slide. And so this is why I shared earlier, Treasure Talent Academy has North America, if not worldwide, the largest financial education curriculum under one roof. Everything we do has a system and a process to it If you just follow the blueprint, that's how all of us did it. None of us on the training team especially came from real estate investing families or backgrounds. What we all have in common is the desire to create a difference in our financial future. And so with that said, that was step 2. And let's go into continuing step 2. Gonna give you some ideas. Okay, so we're now combining some hard strategies and advanced strategies and which income bucket that they feed into and some of the baselines so that we can really start to create a plan. Okay, so every single course that you will go to, for example, income properties, whether it's leveraging suited single family homes, or for those of you who are out east, duplexes or triplexes and above, they feed into your passive income bucket. And what we look for after stabilization is minimum of $150 in cash flow per month per door. Okay, so that builds the foundation and the baseline. And then lease options, or commonly known as rent to own, it feeds into all 3 income buckets. And what we typically say is, depending on the market that you go into, remember S&P depends on the market that you go into, a lot of the factors will change your deal analysis parameters, and all those big fancy words just mean that at the end of the day, your expected monthly cash flow is anywhere between $500 to $1,000. And then we have a serviced accommodations that could be executive rentals, student rentals, rooming houses, short-term rentals, Airbnbs, or midterm rentals. They also feed into all 3 income buckets. Okay. And then $300 per month per property or per door is what we look for. Minimum. Okay, all these are minimum figures. And again, we are here to not just help you grow, we're here to protect you first and foremost, if you remember my story. And this is why we always give you the bare minimum first. And in different markets, as you engage in conversation with the strategy coaches and eventually your trainers and mentors at Trust Your Talent, you will learn how you can actually change these parameters for yourself. Because we do have students that have chosen to go into the market where, for example, serviced accommodations need to be at least $800 per door per month. Otherwise, they will not even entertain the deal after they've analyzed it. So that will change your blueprint quite a bit. And then private lending or paper asset trading is anywhere between 8 to 50% annual return is what we aim for. Okay, right now, everybody in the paper asset investing course at Trust Your Talent, we have a proven average of forecast 25% return on investment on an annual basis. And that's an internal statistic. And you can see a few existing students nodding because they are in that program. And some people are actually doing higher returns as well. And again, it all depends on your personal situation. That will change some of the results for you. However, we are here to give you a baseline so that we can create a plan together. And then distressed properties falls under earned income. Why? Because distressed properties, I want you to write down flips. Okay, flips. These are physical property flips. They tend to go into earned income. Why? Because it's an active income strategy. Chances are, even if you're not the one doing all the renovation work, you are likely the one coordinating a few things, even if you have a general contractor. However, if you're anything like me, the heaviest thing that I lift during a renovation is my cell phone. Not a hammer, not anything else, okay? And so we aim for minimum $20,000 per project. Once again, it could be market dependent. However, as a strategy, these are the baselines. And then last but not least on this screen, wholesale and assignment. And it also falls under earned income. And for some of you, under wholesale and assignment, I do want you to write down paper flip, okay? Paper flip. And next to paper flip, I also want you to write down control without owning. Control without owning. And the minimum income per transaction or per deal when you can do an assignment is $5,000. Okay. And I do at this point want to add one quick note for everybody. At Trust Your Talent Academy, Okay, we do teach you wholesale and assignment as a full strategy. However, we usually say that we only wholesale under 2 circumstances. Number 1, we only wholesale when the deal at the table. Remember, I use the word deal because we deem it viable. It's gone through our deal analysis process. It's checked off the boxes now, whatever type of deal it is. Okay. The deal does not fit our business plan this year. For example, some of you will say in my year 1, I want to focus on getting a couple of flips and a couple of lease options. And so if I do have a multi that comes through my door, I don't want it because that means I'm gonna get distracted. And as a result, I do know I'm in an active community that is Trust Your Talent with access to other investors and students that are looking for multifamily deals. Then you will assign it out because you've already done the work, you've proven and added value to that deal. And then number 2, we only wholesale when we do not have the immediate resources. Because a lot of the times you will be making offers, and when you have a wholesale and assignment deal out on the table, it typically means that you have an accepted offer. However, when you have an accepted offer, what that means is the clock starts ticking for you to pull through. And if you do not have the immediate resources and you've done a lot of the due diligence, a lot of the legwork, and again, you've deemed it to be a good deal, okay, based on the parameters that we've taught you to set, you are now able to wholesale it out, because we've seen a lot of wholesalers that simply will just go out there and make random offers and tie up as many properties as they possibly can. And they do what we call spray and pray. And they will let the end buyer deal with the consequences without doing any due diligence and hoping to be paid a big bucks. That is not the philosophy nor how we train you at Trust Your Talent Academy. As I said, everything we teach you how to do is above board, is with integrity. And so on that note, combining everything now we've done so far, we're going to go into the solid plan, which is the knockout slide. And before we get into that, I want you to write down 3 by 3, 3x3. Okay. What does that mean? I know all of you have been with me pretty much since the beginning of the webinar. It means 3 strategies in 3 different markets. 3 strategies in 3 different markets. 3 by 3. Why? Remember, before we grow, before we scale up, you gotta protect first. The funny thing is though, a lot of the students that have come through Trust Your Talent, they're not spring chicken. Not to say spring chickens are not welcome. You're more than welcome. However, what I mean by that is they come with maybe anywhere between 1 to 20 properties under their belt. And one of the first things that their strategy coach and their mentor will do with them is to determine whether or not their portfolio is performing at the level it needs to. Just because 9 out of 10 times, these property collectors just bought properties and they used the buy, rent, and pray strategy. And so as a result, their money could have been working harder for them. And you need somebody else to tell you how to do that. Now, from a protection standpoint and from a growth standpoint, 3 by 3 stands for 3 strategies in 3 different markets. Why? Before COVID lockdown, I was teaching 2 by 2 because that was more than enough. However, between post-COVID rate changes, inflation, global supply chain issues, it's fundamentally created a different reality for real estate investors, especially. And that's why these days, if you want to be fully protected, 3 strategies in 3 different markets is your goal in the next 2 to 5 years. I understand most of us will start with 1 strategy, 1 market, or 2 strategies, 1 market, or 1 strategy applied in multiple markets. That's okay. However, in order for you to create the ultimate protection, we believe 3 strategies in 3 different markets will help you create that. Because I understand not everybody's end goal is to buy and maybe even build those multiple 100-unit apartment buildings, for example. Okay. And so we're going to show you how you can start to walk so that later on you can start learning how to run. First thing first, let's just say that year one, you say, I will do 2 lease options, because most of us, year one, we are still learning. Most of the Treasure Town students are in this environment for at least 2 years. And funny enough, most of our students, once they are in, they don't leave, because we've created a community where we grow together, we continue to learn together, and we are truly supportive of each other. There's no ego. Like I said earlier, check your ego at the door, because it'll be waiting for you on your way out anyway. When you come into this environment, we want to know that we're here to help each other grow. It's to create that true win-win community. So 2 lease options. Let's say the average is 500. Remember, I will take the low end of the number. Okay, everything on top is gravy and the cherry on top. But 2 lease options, if you remember from the previous slide, it'll be $500 per month in cash flow, assuming you have the ability to carry the deals yourself right now. That means $100,000 per month in cash flow. And you're not going to go quite into a big multi-unit yet, even though it seems to be, where the buzz is all about these days. We're going to encourage you to maybe go into a duplex or maybe even a triplex, okay? And then based on our average of $150 per door per month minimum, it's $450. And then you go into one wholesale, $5,000 a year. Total income that year is $22,400. Once again, your goal might be different. For some of you, you're looking at that going, hey, that seems actually really doable. I never looked at it that way. And I'm just going to do that. That's great. However, the beauty about this is as you learn, as you apply, you will get more knowledgeable and you will get more experienced. And experience combined with the mentor support means you start to craft and better your processes and systems on how you find deal, how you vet deals, and how you create more results in a shorter amount of time. And so 2 more lease options, you are still cash flowing. Remember, 2 lease options from the first year, you're still cash flowing $1,000 a month. And then 3 new lease options, that's $1,500 a month. And you add 1 more triplex for a total of 2 now, that's $900 per month. And because you're a bit more active now, you've built up different teams and different deal sourcers, chances are you're probably going to comb through a lot more opportunities before you find deals that really contribute to your goals. But what that also usually means is that you may also come across deals that don't fit you, but fit somebody else in the community that you've spoken to. So instead of wholesaling 1, you wholesale 2. And total income that second year is now $50,800. Again, if you make $100,000 in this country, that's basically how much you take home now after taxes. But this is business income. And so when you go to business fundamentals, you'll learn the main difference and how much more powerful it is when you understand business income versus job income. And year 3, by the way, in case I haven't said this yet, I don't believe I have, at Treasure Talent, we believe in teaching you how to get rich for sure and not how to get rich quick, just so you know. Okay, so year 3, steady as she goes. 5 lease options are still cash flowing from year 1 and year 2. And then you add 4 more because now you get very, very good at it. 4 more, adding another $2,000 a month. Now, instead of just 2 triplexes, you add 2 more. Once again, it's kind of like cookie cutting a little bit. You know the acquisition process. You now have built up enough of a database in terms of money partners. When the right deal comes across your desk, you know how to pull the trigger. So instead of just adding 1 more, we doubled it from 2 to 4. And then that means by the end of that year, you'll have $1,800 a month in passive income coming in. And then you do 1 wholesale. Bad English. 1 wholesale, not 1 wholesales. $5,000 a year. And total income that year is $80,600. Can we now start to see the difference? That basically means that you need to be, your T4 is probably $160,000 for you to clear $80,000 now. And let's keep going. Year 4. Let's just say that your lease option, they are 3-year terms. That means the first 2 lease option will now be closing. You will have a profit at closing typically, and you will learn more about how lease options works when you go into the lease options course. And that means you have $30,000 back into your pocket right off the bat. You now have 7 other lease options that are still cash flowing, and you still have 4 triplexes that are giving you $1,800 a month. Even if you don't do anything else that month, realize that we took out even wholesale, you're already at $93,000 that year. So if everything that I've said to you makes sense so far, can you see yourself implementing a plan like this for yourself? Yes or yes? Give me a show of hands. Give me a thumbs up. Type in the chat box. Yeah. So again, it's not get rich quick. However, it is definitely get rich and eventually get wealthy for sure. And these are all very doable plans once you are trained how to execute them properly. And so on that note, if you want to grab your cell phone and take a quick picture too, so that you can review it later if you like, now's the time. So that's still only step 2. Okay, last step coming up. Everything sounds simple, doesn't it? And if it's so simple, why isn't everybody doing it? And that's the thing. That's the difference between simple versus easy. Just because it's simple to understand and do doesn't mean that it's easy to actually implement. Okay. And this is why we always say that the support of a mentor and the support of a strategy coach is extremely crucial. Because again, Arnie, Michelle, John, Mohammed, Nikki, Vince, Rangu, Gray, welcome. Depends on your life experiences, your professional skills that you have right now, your access to capital, your current level of risk tolerance, and your current level of investing experiences. Everything combined will spit out a completely different plan. Maybe even on the surface, they look the same. However, how you set your parameters are going to be massively different. And how you pull the trigger on the deals that you will actually acquire and take on will be very different. And this is where you have the one-on-one support come in. And so another way to look at one-on-one support here is, I'm curious, everybody in the room, have you ever gone to like a massage therapist, a physiotherapist, maybe even a hairdresser to get a haircut? Okay. Did you only go once and never went back? We go multiple times. Why? Because life situation changes, health problems come back, and it's not one fix. And sometimes because we've had an old money blueprint in our mind, it makes it very difficult for us to see even a good deal if it slaps us in the face. And that's when we need a mentor to tell us, if you don't do this deal, I will. Okay. And again, remember, our mentors will not do deals with you, nor teach, nor give you, nor pitch you a deal, because there is no conflict of interest here. We will help you find, analyze, structure the deal, and help you get that deal to the finish line. And that is what Trust Your Talent Academy stands for. So we know there isn't another organization academy like us out there. And so right now I'm going to fly through a couple of things because I really think this is very important. Because some of you now at this point will say, well, that all looks great. Because remember, easy versus simple, that all looks really simple, but my life is so demanding. I am a mom, I have a full-time job, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I have siblings, I have special needs people in my life, and I am the rock. I'm the Superman or the Superwoman in my circle. And yes, I want to make a change. How am I going to do this? 3x3 sounds great, and yet it's just too much work. I want to share with you how I got started, because if you remember, I had an 80-hour-a-week job when I first got started. So it's a solid 3 to 5 year plan. And this is really what caught my attention. And this formula has not changed in 14 years. Okay, the market has changed, the formula hasn't. I want you to really remember that, because financial education stands the test of time. The numbers may change a little bit, as in the actual dollar amount may change. Because when I first got started, lease options were only $300 to $600 a month in cash flow. Now we're talking 500 to 1,000. And a lot of the deals in different provinces are even producing $1,200 to $1,400 a month. And I know Vince here is one of our strategy coaches. He has lease option deals in Ontario that are spitting out $1,400 a month. And so it just depends on your SMP. And for me, after 80 hours a week, it sometimes is really, really, really hard to do deals. Okay, so I can relate. And so this is why I said part-time effort. Part-time meaning I was really only able to dedicate 5 hours a week into building my portfolio in the very beginning. Whereas some of you may have the luxury to allocate a little bit more time for whatever reason. And so I said, you know what? Slow and steady wins the race. As I said, as I keep emphasizing, okay, to get rich for sure. And that's what I wanted, because I wanted to learn how to fire my boss gradually and surely. And so 4 deals per year consistently is the key word here. And so average property purchase price now is 400,000. Where can you go to find $400,000 purchase price? There are still provinces and markets that'll do that. Remember SMP. And again, I'm showing you a formula. You can say the chosen market that you want to be in will be average purchase price of 600. Then you'll learn how to adjust this plan and the math accordingly, okay? And so what we're gonna say is that they will pay $15,000 upfront in initial option consideration. So for those of you who are slightly confused right now, it's okay. Just be present, follow the formula. I will share with you my daily dose with Tim, the episodes, so that you can learn about lease options first, okay, after this. And so year number 1, I'm gonna do a deal first. Let's say I complete that in January, meaning my tenant buyers will now move in February 1st. So what that means is they will pay upfront an initial, what we call option consideration of 15,000, and there's cash flow for 11 months because January does not count. And so the average that I'm using here is $1,095. And then deal number 2 completed in April, 3 months later. 8 months of cash flow plus the initial option consideration. We're cookie cutting this. In July, the 3rd deal, and in October, the 4th. Total income that you've generated in that first year is now $87,740. Or if you want to break it down into a monthly figure, it's $7,372.50. Now, you don't have to answer me this and show it to everybody else. I want you to ask yourself, do you think your financial situation will start to change with this added income just from 4 deals? Yes or yes? I like to ask yes or yes questions because even if you're making $500,000 from your JOB a year right now, I know adding $88,000 a year is going to make some sort of a dent. If for nothing else, it's another great Disney vacation for the family, okay? However, some of you might look at this and go, you know what? Yeah, but it's not exactly groundbreaking. And I hear you. And so once again, year number 2, you're going to cash flow from the first 4 deals that you've put the time, effort into. And then you do deal number 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we're cookie cutting this. 4 deals consistently. Remember? Income created that year is now $141,030, or on a monthly basis, an additional nearly $12,000. Do you think life will start to change a little bit? And I get it. There's always going to be a but. What if this? What if you don't have the qualification nor the down payment to buy 8 properties? Great. Chop it in half. Let's do a 50-50 joint venture agreement on these deals. Okay. None of your own money. 0 down. So many people like to talk about 0 money down. You will learn how to do that in creative financing as well as raising funds. However, let's just say that you combine that soft skill with a hard strategy that is lease option. You make an additional nearly $6,000 a month with none of your own money down. Are you happy with that? I know I was. Okay. Next, year number 3. Instead of 4, you now have 8 deals that you've structured, created, brought in money partners. And then you do 4 more with money partners. Total income created is nearly 200,000 or 16,000 a month, or again, chop it in half, $8,000 a month in additional income, or just an income period. Do you think you can see the difference now in how to start taking control of your financial future? I think so. However, remember, let's keep going. Assuming all these deals are 3-year terms, what that means is starting year 4, same thing. Tenant buyers will exercise their option to purchase and buy you out. There's always a little bit of profit at closing. Okay. And then before they close, there's still some months where you are cash flowing from them. And then you're still cash flowing from deal 4 to 12. That's your effort from year 2 and year 3 also. And then you don't stop. You still do 4 more deals. Okay. Total income in year number 4 is now $326,000. That's an additional $13,000 a month, even if you chop it in half. I know it takes 4 years to get there. However, I want to level with you now. How do you interpret this number? First of all, who here likes the idea of making $13,000 more a month part-time? Yeah? Okay. And in the beginning, yes, it's going to take a little bit more work and you'll get better and better at it. And each deal will take you less and less time to complete. So that's number 1. Number 2, when you make this happen, okay, even if you chop it in half, like I said, 326,000 divided by 2 is $163,000 a month, a year. I know most people don't even make anywhere near that today, first of all. Second of all, what that means is as long as you keep up with this structure, 4 deals a year, and you don't let off, that means $163,000 just on one strategy that you built part-time effort is now your new base salary you've created for yourself. It means even if you don't incorporate another strategy, going to another market, I mean, you could apply this in multiple different markets too. Even if you don't do any of that, starting year 4, it's $163,000 a year. That's what this number means. I can see some mind-blown facial expressions. And that tends to happen because I made that face too 14 years ago. And that's why this was my baby strategy. That's how I got started. And so I want to encourage you to really stretch and think beyond your current circumstances. And with that, I'll give you a quick bonus step is to really surround yourself with the right people. One of my all-time favorite, if not literally all-time favorite, motivational speaker is a gentleman by the name of Jim Rohn, the late, great Jim Rohn. And he says, we are the sum average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And so who are we spending time with? We're all here learning how to become educated and professional investors to better our financial future. That means if you are familiar with the cash flow quadrant, we want to be in the investor quadrant. Okay. And who are in the investor quadrant? The people that are learning financial education, the people that have created financial results by being investors. They are your coaches. They are your mentors that are doing the exact same thing you want to be doing. Okay. And so just make sure that you look for a community, you look for an environment where you can learn and thrive in. And so some of the next steps for you, as I keep mentioning, I will share with you how you can get support. This is part of our induction process. Trust Your Talent Academy is a boutique academy right now. Our goal is to create the Harvard of financial education. What that means is it's quality over quantity. And so we do have an official application process, even if you want to learn with us. This first step is for you to book a call with a strategy coach. So Nikki, Yorangu, Gray, Mike, and Arnie, you can take out your phone right now. I'll give you a quick 10 seconds. Find one or the 4 strategy coaches that you would like to have your coaching call with. And there's no obligation, as in we don't charge you for this. However, engage in a conversation. But remember, you need to have your financial statement. At the very least, your expenses sheet ready, okay? Vince actually shared it in the chat box earlier. Make sure you do your homework, because we like to emphasize this. This is a hand up, not a handout. We're here to teach you how to get there, okay? You want it for yourself. So make sure you schedule a call and see if there's a fit. And also step 5, because there was a bonus step, invest in yourself. Like I said, Warren Buffett is one of my most favorite. And so the best investment you can make is the investment that you can make in yourself. And like I said earlier, for me, it was protection first. However, literally over the last 14 years now, the more I've learned, the more I've earned. And so I do want to share with you that there are investor workshops that we're putting on coming up. And what it is these are 3 days of tailored and immersive learning. And again, we are a boutique academy. And so we are quite choosy about who to put in there. These classes are not big, okay? We tend to have anywhere between 5 to 40 people at the very, very most. They're not big stage events, because we want to make sure that every single person in these workshops has the opportunity to speak to every single coach and mentor on site. And then upcoming locations and dates: Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, and Toronto. So when you're having a conversation with your strategy coach, ask them how you can get into the workshops, okay? And it's for up to 2 people to attend. There will be a ticket sale. And what's included? You will learn multiple investing strategies, as we've covered tonight, and you will get exposed to investing with paper assets as well. And once again, one-on-one coaching sessions, the workbooks that come with it, some of the templates and scripts, and also course materials and recordings where applicable, and some scholarship opportunities for those action takers. And so with that said, as promised, I will share this with you quickly in terms of how you can find my Daily Dose with Tim. Okay, and I will actually share all those links in the chat box with everyone too. So you probably see this. It's a website called Medium. I'm a contributing author on this website, and you'll see that I've actually written quite a number of articles here as well on financial education. So I will share this in the chat box too. That way you are able to find it in case you're more of a reader, or if you commute, this is more conducive for you. Or as I mentioned, on YouTube, you can go to the Trust Your Talent channel. You can go to the Trust Your Talent channel and subscribe to it. And that way you are able to not only view all the previous webinars like the one we're doing tonight, you can also go to playlists, and then you'll see 1, 2, and 3 seasons of my Daily Dose with Tim. Now, there's no really particular order I would recommend that you do it. However, just because of you joining the session tonight, I would definitely encourage that you start with Season 2, Episode 2. Understand the fundamental difference between assets versus liability, okay? And so I know Vince has already shared the playlist link with everybody. This is Season 2, Episode 2 for you as well. And last but not least, we are also on Eventbrite. So I'm not sure if this is how you found us in the first place. However, we are on Eventbrite. The easiest way is for you to follow Trust Your Talent Academy, and you'll get automatically notified on all the webinars that are coming up and all the workshops that are coming up, okay? So you'll see the next one, the next workshop is in Calgary. You do see the price there. However, we are having an anniversary promo right now. It's 50% off. So for those of you who are able to make it to Calgary, again, speak to a strategy coach first, And so Vince, if you want to share that link one more time, that'll be great. So if you want to speak to a strategy coach first to see how this fits your growth journey, make sure you make that appointment. Okay. With that said, I am pretty much right on the 2-hour mark. And so I might have 2 minutes for a quick Q&A if there's any questions that I can answer for you that are lingering in your mind. However, if there's nothing there, make sure you speak to a strategy coach, okay? And if there's nothing else, the formal portion of the presentation is done, so feel free to log off now. I will still stick around for a couple more minutes and to answer any questions. And on that note, I will also stop the recording. So thank you very much for joining me tonight.